With the RC-600 and the RC-505 Mark II, they have the same brain. This means that the rhythm system is the same, and you can create any rhythm you want to with the RC rhythm converter, and I made a video all about it, and that video is right here. However, what if you want to make a rhythm right in the moment, or you want to add something like a cymbal or a ride or some toms? You're either stuck with beatboxing or adding a drum machine, and I've seen people add things to their arsenal like the Hand Sonic, the SPD-SX, the Elisa's Strike Pad, and loads more. But you've just spent a couple of £100 on this loop station, and have you seen the price of a Hand Sonic? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing any of those drum pads, but if you only want to play a couple of things, it's quite an expensive accessory. I found a solution that will actually get you what you want, and not only that, it comes in at under $100, and we've even got a code, which I'm going to show you later, which is going to make it even cheaper. It doesn't take up much space, it's really easy to control, and what I'm talking about is a MIDI controller. In fact, a drum MIDI controller, and it's this. This is the TempoPAD, and it's made by Synido. It's only just come out, and they very graciously sent me one a couple of weeks ago to test it out. And I thought, well, what am I going to use this for? And it hit me. Literally, we can use this for drums for the RC-505 or the RC-600 without having to take a big keyboard, and it's really compact and really small, but actually really powerful. Okay, so what we get with the TempoPAD is 16 pads, they're velocity sensitive, and they're also RGB, and I'll show you that in a moment. They have two different kind of modes. They have a chord mode, and they also have a user-defined mode. There's 6 control buttons. There's fast rewind, fast forward, stop, record, play, and loop. They are all CC numbers as well. And there's some controls here to change how these pads work. I'll go into that in a minute. And finally, we've got 4 control knobs, which are endless, and they generate CC numbers. Again, you could program that up for MIDI. On the back here, we've got multiple ports. Starting at this side, we've actually got the USB-C port. This is a Type-C connection that you can connect to your computer. There's an on button, but there's also another USB Type-C port. Then there's MIDI out, which is a 3.5mm socket, and you get a 3.5mm to standard MIDI converter in the box. Finally, there's a Kensington lock if you want to lock it to a table or a surface. What's really nice about the back as well is there's these 2 ridges, as you can see right here, and they are quite cool for making it grippable and putting it on something. Now, in order to make this work, what I need to do is attach it to the mic stand. So what I've got here is the IK Multimedia iClip 3, and it actually normally holds my iPad when I'm gigging. So I attach it to the mic stand, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach it to here, and you can see there's little holders here on the corner, and it'll actually hold nicely here, and just hold this in place. So we just stretch this out, and there we go. It's holding it in place, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So that way I can actually put this on the mic stand, and it's really nice and tidy. So I've taken the camera off the stand so you can see what I'm doing. This is the TempoPAD. It is now plugged in and on power, and it's connected to the iClip on the mic stand. So let's go around and have a look at the connections. So you can see here we've got the power connection that's switched on, and we've got the MIDI connection here, which is just here, and I've got a normal MIDI connection going into the RC-600. Now you can see I've got the power cable there. That's actually plugged into a power box that's just down there, the little one that's flashing red. But we've got this on here. It's nice and tidy. It's on the mic stand. It's within reach. It's really cool, and it's connected to the RC-600. Now I just want to talk about the pad for a second, and I've turned the camera down a little bit because it's got 2 modes. This mode is actually the user-defined mode, and all those sounds are coming out the RC-600 and going into the speaker, but there's different modes here. So you've actually got a mode button here. If I press this, well, that's really bright, and you can actually go into what's called chord mode. But then if you go into the other mode, you've got different pad banks. You can see this one's red here. If we go across, and we go to the blue one, and I think everything ends there. Yeah, there's nothing above that. Think of this as octave 1, octave 2, and octave 3. So red is octave 1, which is at the bottom. The next thing you've got is velocity type. Now if you go to the white one, it's at 127, so it'll play everything really, really loud. And then you've got different velocity curves. And you go to the green one. I like to have on the green one. I haven't actually set these up yet for MIDI, but I might set these up for things like velocity amount, maybe turn it down as opposed to using the velocity type, or I could use it for different things, maybe an LFO, which would be quite cool. I've turned the brightness back up again because we're only going to be using this. And this is actually set to MIDI channel 1. And I know by the drums is normally set to MIDI channel 10 on the RC-600. So for ease of use, because I'm not using any other MIDI whatsoever, I've left this on MIDI channel 1. And I'm going to change this to MIDI channel 1 from MIDI channel 10. However, if you've got loads of MIDI stuff going on and you want this on MIDI channel 10, which is the default for any kind of rhythm stuff, then you can change this within the software, which you can actually boot up, which runs on both PC and Mac. Now, let's go over to this. Now, in order to make this work, what we need to do is we just need to go into menu, go across one, and go into MIDI. Now, by default, you'll normally see this on MIDI channel 10. And all we need to do is just change that down to MIDI channel 1. Because I haven't got anything else by MIDI, then it doesn't need to be anything else other than MIDI channel 1. And then if we go up to here and start playing, it works. Now, the other thing as well is if we go back down to the RC-600, if we come out of here, if we press loop and we go across one again, we can then get to the rhythm section. Now ignore the beats, all we're looking at is the kit, and right now it's on Studio Kit. Let's just change this over to something completely different. So this is the 808-909 kit, I hope you can see that there. So now, if we go up to here, so it's totally dependent on what you have set on the RC-600 will determine what this does, because all it's doing is just triggering those kits. The last part of this is actually when you're playing, it goes into the loops. So there's just one thing we need to change on the RC-600 to make the rhythm section loopable. So on the RC-600, you just go into menu and we go to output. Then we go to routing and we go to input stroke rhythm. Go all the way to the very, very end and you'll see this says rhythm out, output. We're going to change it to loop. What this means is the rhythm section will still be heard, so you can still hear it coming out the speaker, but now what you can do is you can record it into the loops. Let me show you. And the best thing is, it works. Now, essentially, the best thing about this is it works with the loopers. It'll work with the RC-505 and work with the RC-600 as well. Of course, it will work with any digital audio workstation, and it'll even work with an iOS device as long as you've got the right connectors. It's super lightweight and it's ultra portable. And a lot of the other ones in the market will have USB-C, but they won't actually have a MIDI out. By supplying the TRS MIDI out, it opens the world up to a lot more things. And of course, being able to control everything with their really easy software, you can change what these do and how you want them to behave. But the other thing about this is the price. If I was to go and buy a hand Sonic, just Google it, just see how much they are. And don't get me wrong, you can do things with them like load up their own samples. They're an instrument in their own right. But all I want to do is just trigger the sounds from the RC-600 or the RC-505. I want it to fit in my guitar bag and not take up a lot of room. This fits that bill, and it means I can play the sounds from the RC-600 at a gig and even put them into the loop. So if you go onto Synido's website, it's actually retailed at $99. But we had a chat with them when they sent this and said, look, let's do something for you guys. So if you put the word John Paul, my name, into the checkout, you're going to get 10% off. But also, if you go over to Amazon, it's retailed at $89.99. And they've done that deliberately because it's an introductory price offer. And on top of all that, they're giving you 12% if you buy it through Amazon. So what I've done is I've left the links in the description box so you don't have to go and find it. It's on my throne page. It'll take you straight to the Amazon page. I'd like to thank Synido for sending this out to me. They're not paying for this review. My thoughts are my own, and they haven't seen this video beforehand. Now, keeping things lightweight, this is going onto my mic stand. And my mic stand is one of the latest mic stands you can get, which is the Gravity Stand's Travel Series mic stand. If you want to take a look at it, it's right here.